Hey YouTube, Time Itself here. Welcome to episode number 3 of Getting Better at Titanfall, the series where I vlogged my experience of learning more about Titanfall and getting better at it. The first thing you'll notice is the lower graphics settings. I've used some config files to get things even lower. I'm typically squeezing out 40 to 50 frames per second now. Game is much more playable. Pilots can be a bit easier to tell from grunts. I'll link the info in the description on how I did that. You'll see a variety of settings in the clips as I tried to go through an appropriate compromise between performance and graphical quality. The one that I absolutely had to turn back up was how close things have to be before you get high poly models. Not using high poly models at all looks really stupid when you're right up next to things, so yeah, and you'll very much notice the difference. My aim with the mouse is slowly improving. Though I rarely win head-to-head gunfights with pilots, it's mostly become a matter of just avoiding those. What has gotten better is my parkour. The increased frame rate really helped with that, and well, not having so much graphical clutter on the surfaces makes it easier to tell what I can run on and what I can't. Still not liking the keyboard, that WASD thing, nah, because it's easier to sprint forward, jump, and then wall run on a wall onto the right than it is to the left, because you just had to hit shift to start sprinting, or to strafe right in melee. I don't know, maybe I'll get used to it. This still seems really awkward. I guess it is still slightly better than a controller where you have to take your right thumb off the right thumbstick, the controls look, in order to push any of the action buttons. That's why people use claw or get specially modified controllers. I learned that your Titan can run out of ammo, in this case 40mm. Didn't really matter too much, the game was basically over. What I've also noticed is that normally when you take damage, your shields, if they're up, will take most of the damage, and then a tiny bit will go on to your health. Except if you have a tiny bit of health, that doesn't seem to be the case. It doesn't seem like you can be destroyed unless your shields are down most of the time. It's really inconsistent. Like I said, we do not understand the whole shields and health thing, how that works. It's weird. I might be starting to get a feel for the flow of a match, at least of attrition. And sticking together, definitely as Titans, that obviously helps because you end up in 2 Titans on 1 situations and you win those. It helps a lot as you don't lose as much health unnecessarily and you can start rolling around in Titans. But even sticking together as pilots can really help. It obviously depends on your team, the other team, but it means that your grunts all spawn into an area near each other, and you have pilots with multiple lines of sight on your grunts and basically can protect them. The other side of that is that you shouldn't ignore enemy Titans, try and bring them down, even as a pilot. You don't really need to try and face 3 or 4 enemy Titans once you finally get your own. You don't really want to end up in a situation where getting in your Titan is just making yourself a bigger target. Sometimes there is a Titan that you're better off just not getting into. In this case, I would have been better off just running back into that building, because getting in my Titan is just what ends up getting me killed. And my Titan, why would I get in that? While it is great that we have private matches now, it means that I have a bunch of work to do in terms of testing in the private matches. But that'll lead to some good videos and learning more about the game, so that will be good in the end. The update also brought longer load times. I used to spawn in the dropship in 2 or 3 seconds before the game started, just enough time to pick a burn card, and now I spawn in on the ground every single game. I'm not sure why. I don't see a whole lot of use for my network connection, amazing internet, that's not the limitation, and my hard drive isn't seeing much use either as the game starts. In fact, sometimes it'll go down to nothing. Clearly something is off. I'm definitely not the only person with this issue, and I just have to hope Respawn doesn't pull a dice and say, well, just everybody loads in whenever, because that's what Battlefield does, and it's really annoying. On the server side, unfortunately, they seem to have unimproved matchmaking, which is disappointing because, well, when they first rolled the beta into attrition and hardpoint, things were great. I was having a lot of fun. Games were almost always within 100 points, often within 50, and while I was still struggling, I was feeling good about things. But now that they've unimproved matchmaking, things have taken quite the turn. Games are rarely within 100 points, and you'll often see one team struggle to score 100 points in attrition. And as much difference in skill as you see in teams, you'll also see within the team. One player usually leading heavily and a bunch of other people, including myself, usually trailing in the end, trying to somehow make a net positive contribution. And it seems much less likely to kick you back into matchmaking with your team after a game, instead having you play the same team again, even if the match wasn't close. I just started Gen 3 after 29 hours played, though I did delay for several games to record some more clips. My KD against pilots has been slowly inching up towards 1, though with the whole matchmaking situation, I'm really not sure what to make of that number. I feel like I'm getting better, so I guess that's what counts. I suppose I just continue playing at this point, and more practice, more practice, more practice. Well guys, thanks for sticking around. Hope this was entertaining. I don't know, these are kind of weird. I'm not used to doing the whole vlog thing. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.